Before we begin tonight's episode, we need to give a quick but important warning. This podcast covers real crimes and real victims. Because of that, this episode may contain graphic discussions of violence, sexual assault, abuse, murder, and crimes against children. Some listeners may find the content disturbing or emotionally difficult to hear. Please take care of yourself while listening. Make sure you're in the right headspace before continuing, and know that it's always okay to pause the episode, skip it entirely, or come back another time. Your mental well-being will always matter more than the show. Listener discretion is strongly advised. And now, here's Becca.
16-year-old Kit Mora went to Omak, Washington for what was supposed to be a summer visit with her biological mother. They never came home. By November 2021, the people closest to Kit had stopped hearing from them. But months would pass before anyone realized something much bigger was wrong. Because when Kit's best friend finally drove nearly 200 miles to Omak looking for them, she discovered something nobody back home knew. Kit had supposedly been gone for months, and nobody had reported them missing. This is Finding Kit, Missing in Omak.
Well, shit.
Uh-oh, what?
It's still fucking smoky.
I know. It's nasty. It's horrible.
It's getting really old.
Yeah.
It fucking really is.
Yeah, I'm kind of done.
Like, I know they're doing their best, but can you do it better? Because fuck, man.
Hurry.
I'm tired of choking on this shit.
Yeah, it's not good waking up and tasting it. No.
It's only gotten worse since the last time we recorded. It's fucking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going camping and coming back and smelling like smoke, but all the fucking time with none of the other fun stuff that you get with camping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fun. It's just brown out.
Yeah, there is no fucking sky. It's just a fucking, it's like fucking a weird fucking shade of fucking brownish gray. It's fucking gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And should not be chewing the air we breathe, right?
Nope. No, we sure shouldn't. Shouldn't.
Sure shouldn't.
It's fucking garbage.
It is.
It really is.
I'm ready for it to be
disrespectful. Fucking weather.
Right? Come on,
I wanted to just fucking we need a good thunderstorm to put out some of these fucking fires because everywhere's burning. Everywhere's fucking burning.
I know.
It's all around us.
Yeah, and we do.
I'm going batshit fucking crazy.
I know. We need a torrential downpour.
Breathing all this shit in is literally not good. Like, I looked it up. There's like all kinds of shit that's in the carbon and the char that's not good for humans to be breathing.
No, and all the structures that have burnt and everything that was inside those buildings has now been released out into the air. So yeah, those particles, not good for the lungs, people.
No, and it said that you can actually fucking have like mild hallucinations and shit and fucking go actually fucking bonkers from it.
That's not good. I know my short-term memory has not been what it normally is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fucking, well, my shit just sucks.
I can just,
Anyway. It's been a hard fucking week.
Yeah.
For me mentally, because all this fucking smoke, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
I need fucking fresh air. Like,
yeah.
honestly, I need fucking fresh air.
Yeah.
I can't take it much more.
No. Do you hear that, Mother Nature? Come on.
I'm going to move to
Work
the
with us.
middle of the ocean where nothing can catch fire. I'm just going to, there's a bunch of fucking garbage just floating everywhere.
Yes.
So I'm going to fucking net it all up.
And have your own little city.
Get a little plastic beach. Make a fucking garbage barge. Fucking live on that.
Troll for sand and bring that up so you can have an actual beach.
Fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll do it in the South Pacific, so it's always nice.
Oh, yeah.
I'll float between Hawaii and whatever's near Hawaii. Other Hawaii.
I don't know. I'd have to pull out a map to look at everything. I'm horrible at geography.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, listen. If you're tuning in and you were expecting a big Kohlberger update, you're not going to get it. I'm sad
Sorry,
to say.
guys.
I'm told that if I present what I want to present, it's very likely the show will be sued into oblivion.
Yeah, so let's not do that.
Because even though I can accurately tell you why I think the way I think and present like fucking a timeline and have it make sense, I'm told it's still somehow fucking defamation. Because and I don't know why.
No.
But I'm not going to risk it.
Nope. Thank you for not risking it.
Yeah, I'm told that, blatantly calling one of the survivors a drug dealer might not be one of the best things to do.
Yeah. Maybe not.
So, yeah, I guess
we're going to let that case go to court and we'll go from there.
I guess the update will be that he has filed to withdraw his guilty plea.
Mm-hmm.
A judge certainly thinks there's enough to it that he has reissued him court-appointed attorney.
Good.
So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Maybe he will end up back in the courtroom and we can get some answers to some of the questions we have.
I hope so.
Like number one, fucking why the fuck you did it.
Yeah. The why is the bigger thing.
And, some of this other shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's that.
So it's hard. It's a wait and see kind of a game.
Yeah, I wish I could just spill it out. If anybody wants to know, email me.
There you go.
Email the show and I'll gladly share it with you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I think. Because then it's just two people comparing, talking shit.
Exactly.
Doing it on the show and publicly blasting an individual.
That's where it gets.
And, saying like, this is likely what happened and why fucking his,
that's treading.
I don't want to allude to anything either. So we'll leave it at that. And we'll move on into something much more important.
Yes. This whole disappearance. Yeah.
We're going to talk about Kit Mora.
Yeah.
And this is one of those cases. I didn't know anything about this. Nothing. And that's kind of a problem. Not that I feel like I should know everything. Because I do.
But the fact that there's a child missing, a person missing, and it just didn't seem to be on the mainstream radar, if you will.
Well, yeah, and it's because it's an Indigenous person. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that is a huge problem.
And some other reasons that we're going to get into
we'll discover, right?
Right?
Okay. I'm ready. I'm buckled up.
So, this is it was recommended to me by one of our listeners, actually, who said, do you know anything about this? And I said, fucking not at all. That's it. So, and then I dug into it and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because this is a weird one. And, we'll just jump right in. And before we even get into Kit, I do want to say that this case hits a little closer to home for me than most of these do because I am the father of a trans teenager, and Kit was non-binary. And there are parts of this story involving their identity and how the people around them chose to respond to it. So I care very much about getting that part right and talking about Kit the way Kit would want to be talked about.
Exactly.
Another reason that this case matters to us is because, as I said, Kit is Indigenous. And missing and murdered Indigenous people are fucking horrendously underrepresented in true crime.
Very true.
And I know for our show especially, I don't think that's something that we just get to fucking ignore.
No.
We cover the Pacific Northwest. We fucking live here.
Yeah.
And the tribal nations and Indigenous communities are part of the places we're talking about every single fucking week.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not somebody else's communities that are somewhere like fucking far away from us. These people are our neighbors. I mean, we go and we play bingo every fucking Monday.
Yeah, we do.
So, it's our fucking duty. And fucking, when you actually start looking at missing and murdered Indigenous person cases, there are so many people whose names most of us have never heard. And there's families that have spent years trying to get somebody to pay attention to a missing daughter or a son or a sister or a brother or a child. Or sometimes even figuring out which agency is responsible for a case can become part of the fucking problem. Because there's tribal, local, county, state, and federal jurisdictions that overlap.
Yeah.
So, and as we said, they don't always communicate with each other.
They don't. Yeah.
So even the way somebody's classified as missing can affect really, everything that happens after.
True.
And, I don't want to use Kit's disappearance as an excuse to give you a 20-minute lecture about missing and murdered Indigenous persons, because Kit is not a statistic, and this isn't a story about an acronym.
Correct.
This is a story about Kit.
Yeah.
But I do want us to make the commitment with this show that when one of these cases falls inside the region we cover, we're going to take it seriously. And we're going to make room for these stories, and we're going to say these people's names, and we're going to tell their stories. So, like I said, I had no idea about any of this until, someone asked me, like,
brought it to your attention.
Have you done Kit? And I was like, who's Kit?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Tell me more. Yeah.
And so, yeah. And also with this story, we have another reason to be especially careful because nobody's been charged with hurting them. And, there are things in this case that bug the shit out of me and decisions we're going to question. Okay. But having questions about somebody's actions is, of course, not evidence that they harmed Kit.
Correct.
There are things we know, things people close to Kit have told reporters, and things nobody has been able to answer. So let's start with the part we actually know pretty well, which is who's Kit?
Yeah.
So Kit was born Esmeralda Nelson Mora in Spokane in 2005. And of course, you'll still see Esmeralda on some of the official records connected to this case. Their family in Yakima sometimes called them Ezzy. But as Kit got older, Esmeralda wasn't the name that they wanted to use, and they chose Kit.
I like that.
They were non-binary and used they-them pronouns with the people they trusted. So Kit was also Indigenous and Latino. Both big parts of who they are.
Yeah.
Now, for most of Kit's childhood, home was Yakima. We know where that's at. And they were raised there by their paternal great-grandparents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Bonnie and Charlie Groo. Groo.
Oh, okay.
Kit's biological mother was Lori Sue Nelson, but Lori hadn't raised Kit for most of their life.
Mm.
So when Kit was very young, there had been extensive child protective services involvement with Lori and her children. And records reviewed by this place called Investigate West show dozens of reports involving the family during those early years, including verified findings of neglect.
Oh, man.
So by the time Kit was about 4, they were living with Bonnie and Charlie under a third-party custody agreement.
Oh, wow.
Which, basically the court.
Yeah, they're like, you can't be with mom anymore.
Right. So when we say Kit grew up in Yakima, that really is where they grew up. That's where their life was. That's where they went to school. That's where, their friends were. And where, people had been raising them since they were little lived. And I'll tell you this, Kit sounds like they were a pretty cool kid. Kind of quiet and creative. Loved to draw, especially anime characters. And they liked writing and reading too. They loved dragons and dinosaurs. And apparently How to Train Your Dragon was a favorite. Their music taste was kind of, eclectic and all over the place, ranging from Elvis to Queen to Nirvana, Nicki Minaj and country music. And that's about as eclectic as you get.
You're right. Yeah, it's very eclectic. I love that.
So there's not really one category that covers Kit, them. If they liked something, they liked it. Now, their younger sister, Malia, described Kit as loving, kind, and quiet. And their sister, Charlotte, remembered the smiley, happy kid. Friends remembered Kit sitting around drawing, watching movies, and sometimes just randomly breaking into song. And those are the kind of details I love because now I can actually picture this kid a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not what happened to them. Not a photograph on a missing person flyer. Just this kid being this kid.
Just being a kid, yeah.
Now, one of the people who knew that version of Kit better than anyone else was Amethyst McCart. Now, these two had known each other since kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
And their birthdays were only 2 days apart. Hey, just like ours.
Yeah.
And they basically grew up together. And they spent time wandering trails around Amethyst's grandmother's house, drawing, watching movies, and doing, normal stuff kids who have known each other forever do.
Yeah.
They even dated on and off for a while in middle school.
Oh.
But whatever their relationship looked like at different points growing up, Amethyst remained one of Kit's closest friends.
I love that.
Yeah. So by 2021, Amethyst had known Kit for more than a decade. Knew their personality, their habits, the way they talked, and what it was like to hear from them regularly. Okay?
Yeah.
Just not somebody who met Kit shortly before they disappeared and was later trying to figure out what was normal for them. Amethyst has known this kid since kindergarten. So, in April of 2021, Kit's older brother, Javante, dies.
Oh.
And Kit's family has said that they believe losing him played a part in Kit wanting to reconnect with Lori and that side of their family. I can't tell you that was Kit's reason because we don't have Kit here to tell us that.
No, we don't.
What we do know is that 2 months later in June, 16-year-old Kit goes to Omak, Washington to spend the summer with their biological mother and 4 much younger half-siblings.
Oh, that's a pretty big decision.
Yeah. Now, Omak is a small city in north central Washington. About 200 miles from Yakima and near the Colville Reservation. And I mean, it's big enough to have it's kind of pretty nice sized Safeway.
Yeah.
So it's not that small.
No.
But it's smaller.
Yeah.
So, that's, yeah. who knows what the population is.
Yeah, I don't off the top of my head, but yeah.
So it's about 200 miles north of Yakima.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's
Kit wasn't moving there. At least that wasn't the plan when they left. It was just supposed to be a summer visit. Kit would spend some time with Lori, get to know their younger siblings better, and then come back to Yakima before school started.
Mm-hmm.
But the visit kept getting longer. So a couple of weeks became, more than a couple of weeks. And then it got extended again. And then soon Kit started working at Lori's thrift store in Omak, the Storehouse Mercantile.
Oh.
And they continued talking to the people back home while they were there. Okay. So eventually it became clear that Kit wasn't coming back to Yakima before school started. They stayed in Omak and enrolled at Omak High School for their junior year. So by the beginning of the 2021-22 school year, Kit is 16 years old. Yeah. Now living about 200 miles from the place that they have grown up in, with a biological mother they're trying to reconnect with and 4 little siblings that they're just getting to know.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And Kit is still talking to Amethyst.
Oh, yeah. That's your best friend. You're not just going to drop the ball on that. Yeah.
Now, once Kit decided to stay in Omak for the school year, their life there started looking a lot less like a summer visit. Because, like I said, Lori has 4 younger children, all under 5.
Yikes.
Yeah. And Kit's pretty much helping take care of them.
Yeah, at that age and where they're at. Yeah, definitely.
Now, from what Kit is telling people back in Yakima, that is not something that they were always happy about. So in messages from that summer, Kit talked about feeling like they were being used as a babysitter.
Mm.
And in one Instagram conversation, Kit described Lori crying and asking what would happen if Kit's sisters needed them or if Kit had to be their parent.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know that that's something you want to be fucking talking to a kid about, period.
No, that's
you know what I mean?
That's heavy.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And Kit said that Lori told them she wasn't going to let them leave without a fight now that she had them there.
Oh. Huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay. We're talking about Kit. She's not going to let Kit leave.
Yeah.
But I'm using they, them pronouns.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I'm talking about...
Oh, you think the younger siblings?
The younger siblings, right.
I knew that Lori meant Kit. Now that I have you back.
Just making it clear. So now that's coming from Kit themselves while they're actually living in Omak.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it doesn't tell us literally much about anything that's happening inside the house, but it does tell us how Kit is describing at least part of it to people they trusted.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense because you know this is a whole different kind of transition.
Yeah,
So
Malia was also still talking with Kit pretty regularly. And she started noticing some changes too. Because Kit had always been pretty consistent about how they presented themselves. But after moving to Omak, Malia remembered them dressing more femininely and wearing their hair differently.
Mm.
And again, somebody changing their clothes or their hair doesn't automatically mean anything, but Kit was also telling friends that Lori wasn't respecting their gender identity. Which gives us a little more context for why the people who knew them noticed the change.
Right.
Like if you're used, you know what I mean? You're going to fucking notice that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're just gonna.
Yeah, you do. You do. Absolutely.
Now, Kit is going to Omak High School by this time. And for a while, they're still communicating with Amethyst and people back in Yakima. But as the fall goes on, getting a hold of Kit starts becoming harder. Amethyst later said she hadn't actually heard Kit's voice since around September of 2021. And they were still communicating online after that. So there wasn't some obvious moment where, Kit suddenly vanishes from everybody's life. But contact is kind of clearly thinning out.
Mm.
Then in early November, Amethyst receives 3 messages from Kit. And the strangest part about the messages is how completely ordinary they are. Because Kit's not saying that they're frightened. They're not asking Amethyst for help. They're not saying goodbye.
Mm-hmm. They
were talking about getting older and how weird it was that middle school suddenly didn't seem like it had been that long ago. This is just a normal conversation, the kind of conversation two people who have known each other since kindergarten could have without thinking anything of it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And those were the last messages that Amethyst says she ever received from Kit. Now, Malia would later say that she hadn't heard from Kit after November either. Kit's family and friends also noticed that their social media activity stopped. There was no goodbye post. There wasn't some announcement that Kit was leaving Omak or cutting everybody off. The communication just abruptly stopped. So at first, of course, Amethyst tries to make sense of it without assuming something terrible has happened. She later explained that she thought maybe Kit wanted some distance from Yakima. That's fucking understandable.
Right. You're 16. Sometimes you're just like, no.
Plus, it's fucking Yakima.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody that lives there that's listening, but yeah, I mean, fuck, you live there,
Yeah, that's why I moved away.
If you have to have a sign that says it's the Palm Springs of Washington, it's maybe not the Palm Springs of Washington.
Oh, hey, now leave that alone. I know we all make fun of it. Come on.
So, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They've moved somewhere new. They started at a different school. They're trying to build some kind of relationship with that part of their family they hadn't grown up with.
Yeah.
So if your friend stops answering for a while, your first thought isn't necessarily that they're missing.
No.
But November keeps going and Kit still isn't answering. So by the end of the month, Amethyst isn't the only person wondering what the fuck is going on. Her sister Charlotte has started worrying too. She hasn't heard from Kit and also couldn't get a hold of them. And eventually she becomes concerned enough that she calls the Omak Police Department and asks them to go to Lori's home and make sure that Kit is okay.
Wow. My sister did that.
Yeah. So this is late into November.
Yeah.
Sister Charlotte's worried enough that she decides she needs somebody in Omak to physically check on Kit. Now, she's living in North Carolina at the time.
Oh.
So she can't exactly just drive.
The 200, yeah.
Right. Even and knock on the door. She hasn't heard from her sister. She can't get a hold of them. And on November 28th, she calls the Omak Police Department and asks for a welfare check.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is, of course, a small town. And Lori is Lori. So police already know this address. I'll leave it at that.
Gotcha.
Because 5 days earlier, on November 23rd, a neighbor has called Omak police because they can hear what sounds like a domestic dispute coming from Lori's apartment. Officers respond. Then Charlotte's welfare check request comes in on November 28th. And the very next day, November 29th, officers would be called back to that same apartment again, this time resulting in the arrest of Lori's boyfriend after he allegedly struck her repeatedly with a baby gate.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Can someone strike him with the baby gate? Good Lord. Good Lord.
I need you to put it back. That keeps me where I needs to be. It's my baby gate. It's not for hitting.
Oh my God.
I couldn't resist. It's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous.
I'm sitting over here with my arms crossed. I just had information that he decided to strike someone with a baby. Are you kidding?
Now, in case you didn't realize what I just said, we're talking about 3 police contacts with this one apartment in 1 week.
Yeah. It's a span of like 5 days.
Yes. And the one in the middle was specifically about Kit. Okay. Yeah. Now, Charlotte's not reporting her missing. She's just asking police to answer a much simpler question. My sibling is supposed to be living at this address. I haven't heard from them. Can you please go there and make sure they're okay? Mm-hmm. So an officer goes to Lori's apartment. And according to the police report written afterward, the officer made contact at the door with someone who identified themselves as Kit. That person reportedly told the officer that they were fine and safe, and that was essentially the end of it. So the welfare check was closed with Kit reported as okay. And the entire report was 6 sentences long. Now, there's something about this welfare check that I want to be really precise about because there are different descriptions of it floating around online and even in coverage of Kit's case.
Okay.
The actual police report says that the officer made contact with Kit. That's what's documented, and that's what existed in November of 2021. We don't have body camera footage from that interaction, and the report itself doesn't explain how the officer established the identity of the person who came to the door. But none of that means I can sit here and tell you the person wasn't Kit.
Correct.
I can't do that.
No.
All I can tell you is that Charlotte has done exactly what you would expect somebody several states away to do when they can't reach a 16-year-old family member. She's called the police department in the city where Kit was living and asked officers to check on them. And afterward, there's a police report saying that Kit had personally come to the door and said that they were safe. Now, if you're Charlotte, what the fuck are you supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? You called the police. An officer went. The officer's report says they saw Kit. So unless you have some reason at the moment to believe that the officer's wrong, that's your answer.
Right. It's, cut and dry.
I mean, maybe you still don't understand why Kit isn't answering you. Maybe you're still worried.
Right.
But the thing you've been trying to establish, whether they're physically there and alive, has apparently just been established by a law enforcement officer.
Right. Someone had physical eyes upon this person.
Yeah. And remember what was happening with Kit's communication at the same time. Amethyst's final messages from Kit had come earlier that month. So Charlotte wasn't hearing from them either. And their social media activity had stopped. None of that necessarily meant Kit was missing on November 28th. 16-year-olds definitely stop talking to people.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely stop doing it for fucking their own goddamn reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, I mean, any number of fucking things can happen.
Right.
It's a 16-year-old kid. I mean, I was a fucking idiot when I was 16. We're all just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they could be angry with the other side of the family.
Exactly.
They could have just made new friends and not have time for the old ones.
It's true.
That fucking happens so much through life.
That's true.
I mean, it just happens.
Yep, it does.
You can go an entire year talking to somebody and meet new people, and it just falls off because you don't have the same time for the other people that you did once before.
It's true. Unless sometime down the road you just reconnect. So,
and it's just a cycle of life.
Yeah, that's true.
So So yeah, there's 100 explanations that don't involve something terrible.
Exactly.
Is basically what I'm trying to say.
There we go.
And now there's another reason for the people back in Yakima not to immediately assume the worst, and that's because police have checked.
Yep.
But what bothers me about the surrounding police contacts isn't that they prove something happened to Kit inside the apartment. You know what I mean? Like the two on the opposite ends of the one of her.
Yeah.
Like the assault, the call about the domestic dispute, and then the arrest for the fucking baby gate attack.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
They don't prove anything happened to her, or they don't prove anything happened to Kit. Because they don't.
Mm-mm.
They give us this really strange little snapshot of the house that Kit is supposed to be living in during the exact period when communication with them stopped.
Correct.
The 23rd, they respond to a domestic disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
On the 28th, Charlotte asked police to check on Kit. On November 29th, police return and arrest the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And in the reports from those other two police responses, Kit isn't mentioned. Now, that of course doesn't mean that Kit wasn't there. It doesn't mean they were. It means that the reports don't tell us jack shit.
Right.
But you got to think that if they were there, they would have been mentioned somehow. Like the next oldest child in the house said this, was a witness to this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
good point.
But as of now, nobody has any reason to start reconstructing, those 3 police calls the way we can now.
Mm-hmm.
There was no disappearance to investigate.
Yeah, no, nothing seemed.
There's no detective trying to establish Kit's last confirmed sighting.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a worried sister in North Carolina, a welfare check in Omak, and, a 6-sentence police report saying that Kit was contacted and determined to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
So December arrives. Kit still isn't talking to the people back home.
Mm.
And that's what the people who love Kit had to go on.
Yeah, because your holiday seasons are strong right in there. November,
Right.
December.
Now, December comes and goes without Kit returning to the people back in Yakima. Still not talking to Amethyst. Charlotte still has not heard from them. Their social media activity has still not resumed. And at the same time as all this, there's another place where Kit has started kind of disappearing from view. Want to take a shot in the dark? School, yes. Because let's not forget, this is a kid.
Yeah. And they're keeping track of your absences.
Yeah, and Kit had enrolled at Omak High School for their junior year.
Mm-hmm.
But their attendance became a serious problem during fall semester.
Oh.
And by January 2022, Kit had accumulated 33 unexcused absences.
Oh. Yeah, no bueno.
Yeah. And at that point, the school district withdrew Kit from enrollment for non-attendance.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that, by January of 2022 and between November, that's more than 33 days of school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So were they there for some of those other days?
Right.
But, 33 is a lot for a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And Washington just doesn't just leave it entirely up to a school to decide what to do when a kid stops showing up.
Mm-mm.
There are procedures in place, especially for this type of situation. And under Washington's truancy laws, commonly associated with the Becca Bill, no relation.
No.
Schools were supposed to respond to repeated unexcused absences by contacting the family, trying to figure out why the student wasn't attending and taking steps aimed at getting that kid back into school as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
And if those efforts didn't work, there were additional steps available.
Mm-hmm.
A student and family could be referred to a community engagement board where the idea was to actually figure out what was keeping the kid out of school and try to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
If the attendance problem continued, the school district could move into the juvenile court process through a truancy petition. And, according to some records that I was able to see, that is not something that happened with Kit. The district did not refer Kit and their family to a community engagement board, and it did not file a truancy petition before Kit was withdrawn from Omak High School.
But I thought those were all the steps that they were supposed to take before.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, Kit's great-grandparents, Bonnie and Charlie, the people who had raised them in Yakima, have also stated that they were not informed or notified that Kit had accumulated all of these absences or that the school was dropping them from enrollment.
But those are those are Kit's legal guardians.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Oh, as a parent, I'm having a hard time with this aspect.
I know. But I think it's worth being fair to the school here, too, because a kid missing school doesn't, automatically mean that the kid is missing. They deal with truancy constantly, and there are plenty of reasons, they stop attending that have nothing to do with the disappearance or anything.
Sure.
The fact that the legal guardians were not contacted, though, I agree with you. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Because that's who you're supposed to be contacting.
Yeah, first and
So
foremost.
if they weren't contacting them, who the fuck were they talking to? Fucking Lori? Because she, let me tell you, she's not winning no fucking Mother of the Year awards this one.
Good Lord. No.
And I'm being nice. I'm fucking being nice, but we're talking about Kit. We're not talking about their shitty biological parent.
No, we're not going to talk about that. No.
So, you're getting off easy, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you. So, yeah, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Kit's 16.
Yeah.
33 unexcused absences.
Yeah.
And now removed from school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where I keep getting a little hung up on how many different versions of Kit exist, depending on which piece of paper you're looking at.
Okay.
Because their friends in Yakima had essentially stopped hearing from them. Charlotte can't reach them. No social media. I cannot hammer this home alone enough.
Mm-hmm.
Silence on every front. Okay?
Mm.
Nobody looking at one of those things by itself necessarily has the whole picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just part.
So, January goes by. February goes by. Then March, then April, then May. And people back in Yakima still weren't hearing from them.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
June comes around. We're in June of 2022.
Mm.
Police are back at Lori's home. And this time they're not there because somebody's asking about Kit. A neighbor again has raised concerns about the welfare of Kit's 4 younger half-siblings.
Hmm.
The young ones.
Yeah.
So workers from Washington's Department of Children, Youth and Families, or DHS, DSHS,
Mm-hmm.
They respond along with law enforcement. And what they found was serious enough that the children were removed from the home and taken for medical care.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Now, there are more details in the records about the condition of the children, and I'm deliberately not going through all of them because they're minors. They're not responsible for any of this, and we don't need to describe what happened to them in graphic detail to understand why authorities were inside the fucking house.
Mm-hmm.
But there were not vague concerns about whether somebody's house was messy. They were documented concerns about neglect and injury serious enough to require intervention and hospitalization. Okay? So that's that's the type of woman Lori is. So everybody's clear.
Oh.
Okay.
Yuck.
Now, according to Lori, Kit wouldn't leave her home until April of 2022. So if we're using the timeline Lori would later give to the police, Kit has been living in the household until roughly 2 months before this June response.
Mm-hmm.
If we're using the November timeline based on when friends and family stopped hearing from Kit, nobody has independently established where they were for about 7 fucking months.
That is a long span of time.
Yeah. And when authorities respond in June over the welfare of the younger children, Kit's name doesn't appear in the publicly reported dependency records connected to that response. Because they're not supposed to be there.
Oh.
So nobody reading those records would know that there was supposed to have been another minor living in that family.
Because essentially it was just to be a summer visit.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, there are questions here that the records, we just don't have an answer.
Right.
Because we don't know what Lori told child welfare workers about Kit.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
And we don't know whether somebody asked where Kit was and simply didn't document it in the records.
Mm.
We don't know whether DSHS already understood Kit to be living somewhere else.
Right. Right.
And we sure as shit can't say that somebody walked into the apartment, noticed that Kit was missing, and chose to deliberately ignore it.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Right? All we can say is that Kit's disappeared from school months earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The people who had raised them weren't hearing from them.
Mm-hmm.
And now child welfare workers and law enforcement were involved with the home where the 16-year-old had been living.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All that still doesn't tell us where Kit is.
No.
And it's hard to get past that. Not because the June response proves anything happened to Kit in that house. It doesn't.
No.
But because it's another moment when adults responsible for the welfare of a child are dealing directly, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're like, what the fuck?
They're not being responsible.
Yeah, so we got 4 younger children physically accounted for, 1 that is not.
And that's the why? Yeah. Mm.
So, I mean, by June, we have several completely different versions of Kit's whereabouts, depending on who you're asking and who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
School records show one thing. School records show them dropping out in January or being unenrolled or withdrawn.
Right, right.
But their friends and family in Yakima are dealing with somebody who hasn't, responded since November.
Mm-hmm.
They did a welfare check. Kid's been seen and was safe. Yeah. And then now there's this April date that Lori is that she's given to police for when she's saying that Kit actually left her house.
But then where did Kit go?
Yeah, right. So obviously nobody in Yakima knows about the April thing yet. And as far as Amethyst knew, her best friend has simply stopped talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's decided that by the end of that summer, she's fucking had enough.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, fuck this. I'm going to get my own goddamn answers. Like, this bitch owes me an explanation.
Right, exactly.
So by September 2022, Amethyst has now gone about 10 months without hearing from Kit.
Mm.
And of course, at first she tries to explain it away. Maybe she just wants distance from Yakima, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But she's basically not willing to accept that her friend might simply not want to talk to her anymore.
Yeah, no.
She is thinking we're close enough that you would give me at least an explanation and be like, fuck you, bitch. This is why.
Right, exactly. Or, hey, I need to move again because, this is where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Talk to you when I settle.
Yeah. So she also wasn't willing to accept that she didn't want to go any more time without knowing whether Kit was okay or not.
Yeah.
So by this point, Amethyst knew she wasn't the only person who hasn't heard from them, because Charlotte hasn't either.
Mm-hmm.
And other people close to Kit hadn't. So she gets into a car with her grandmother and her cousin, and she drives to the 200 miles from Yakima to Omak.
Mm-hmm.
And, she just wants to see her friend. She's not going there to accuse anybody of anything. She's not going there with the thought that anybody's hurt Kit.
No.
She's just going there, and and basically she says at one point that if Kit looked her in the face and said, "I'm fine, I just don't want anything to do with Yakima anymore," she would have respected that and let her move on and just enjoy her life.
Right.
Or their life.
Their lives, yeah.
She just needed to know that Kit was actually okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So their first stop was the Storehouse Mercantile, which was Lori's thrift store,
Mm-hmm.
where Kit was supposedly working after arriving in Omak.
Mm-hmm.
But when they got there, the place wasn't operating anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, the business was closed. Windows had been papered over, and, the neighboring business owner told Amethyst that the store had been closed for months.
Really?
So her next stop is the Omak Police Department.
Yeah.
And she approached officers outside and asked if they knew anything about Kit. They didn't, but they took her phone number and said that they'd see what they could find out. And before long, one of those officers called her back. And he had spoken with Lori.
Mm.
And this is where Amethyst learned something she hadn't known during all those months, and that she'd been trying to figure out why Kit wasn't answering her. According to the police report, Lori said Kit had moved out of her home in April, about 5 months earlier. And she said that she hadn't had contact with Kit since then and believed Kit had gone back to Yakima.
Huh.
But of course, Amethyst has just come from Yakima and Kit's not there.
Yeah. Now
So-
this is like, no. This is why I'm up here. Oh, man.
So then she discovers something else, which is that there's no missing person report for Kit.
Oh, because
Yeah, think about where she's at this point. Like, she's just driven across the state because nobody close to Kit has heard from them in roughly 10 months.
Yeah.
She gets to Omak, finds the place where Kit used to work closed,
Mm-hmm.
goes to the police and learns that Kit's mother says this 17-year-old left her home 5 months earlier and hasn't been heard from since. And despite all of that, nobody has reported Kit missing.
That's just so...
Right? So now this is where we have to separate the two dates that are going to keep showing up,
Yeah.
because they mean very different things, of course. There's the November 2021. That this is when Amethyst, Charlotte, and other people close to Kit say communication stopped. Cold turkey.
Yeah.
And then there's April 2022 when Lori says that Kit left her home.
Mm.
Now, we don't get to decide which one is Kit's actual disappearance date because we don't fucking know.
Correct.
It's one of the fundamental fucking problems with this case. There are months between those two dates, and the public record doesn't give us a confirmed sighting, a phone call, a message, any kind of social media post from Kit that closes that gap in any fucking way.
right.
All Amethyst knows in September was much simpler. Nobody she trusted could tell her where Kit was. So she pushed the issue.
Good.
And Kit was finally reported missing. And the search for them started becoming public.
Good.
Charlotte created the Find Kit page. Family and friends began putting up flyers, organizing vigils and trying to get Kit's face in front of as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, there was confusion about who exactly the public was supposed to call. Because some flyers directed tips to Omak police, others listed the Okanagan County Sheriff's Office.
Oh.
Did I say that right?
You said that perfect.
Yeah. And others, the Colville Tribal Police or Washington State Patrol. And this is one of those places where the MMIP, or Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons issue we talked about at the beginning, stops being something abstract. Because you've got a missing Indigenous teenager, and even the people trying to help find them are dealing with multiple agencies and multiple phone numbers.
That's confusing.
Yeah. So in October of 2022, Washington State Patrol issued a missing Indigenous person alert for Kit. So now we have Kit's photograph being circulated publicly, and their name was going out through a statewide alert system.
Good.
And their family and friends were telling people that, this kid is missing.
Mm-hmm.
But inside the Omak Police Department, Kit's case is being treated as a runaway.
Oh.
Yeah, which is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's a mild way to put it.
Yeah, because you would think that once they are finally reported missing, you'd think that that's the point where somebody starts trying to reconstruct the missing months, and that's not what happened. So, they make this alert. Photograph goes out with the name Esmeralda Kit Mora, 16 years old, missing from Omak, and an official missing date of April 15th, 2022.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And not. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucked up. Detective Brian Bowling later explained that Kit had initially been reported as a runaway and no detective was assigned. And his explanation was pretty straightforward in that running away isn't a crime. And an officer can't force a runaway teenager to return home.
No, you can't. But now I want to know who reported Kit as a runaway.
Right.
When clearly,
I couldn't figure that out either.
Yeah, because clearly you've got family in Yakima. You've got friends in Yakima saying, no. They did not just run away.
And I don't think so either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
no way. There's no way.
Sure, that can be a thing. But Kit's not standing in front of an officer refusing to go home.
Exactly.
Nobody knows where the fuck Kit is.
No. Vanished off the face of this earth.
Now, that's not me saying that they couldn't have run away. They absolutely could have. A 16-year-old can leave home voluntarily, and we don't have evidence establishing that Kit was physically prevented from leaving that apartment. But even if Kit did run away, there's still a pretty obvious problem. Where are they?
Yeah.
So, so Charlotte and the rest of Kit's family, they weren't willing to just wait and see if they would come home. Within days, like I said, they created the Finding Kit Facebook page.
Yeah.
They get, their posters out and all this stuff. And I mean, that's about as much as they can do. And I'm sorry, God damn it. I really apologize. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying my best.
I know. I see.
Their case remained classified as a runaway all the way through the end of 2022. And it wasn't until January of 2023. Now this is just fucking 3 short years ago.
Yeah.
That Omak police opened a full missing person investigation finally. But by then, more than a year has passed since Amethyst received those final messages in November. You know what I mean? Yeah. And whatever opportunity there might have been to immediately preserve digital records, locate witnesses while memories are fresh, establish exactly when Kit stopped attending school or any of this shit. You know what I mean? It's
gone.
They're going to attempt it long after the fact. So, and I mean, this is where this Detective Bowling actually enters Kit's case. Omak is a small police department, and Bowling at the time was its only detective.
Oh, wow.
So, when this case is finally assigned for investigation, this is not going to be some kind of enormous missing person unit with 10 detectives who can immediately spread out, It's going to be just one fucking dude trying to figure out what happened to a teenager whose, reliable timeline is already have enormous holes in it.
Yeah.
Because the runaway label doesn't tell them where Kit is,
No.
you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so by the time he takes it over, he's starting with, the basic problem. Before you can figure out where they went, you have to figure out when they were last seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, because nobody has a straight answer.
Yeah, there's not a clean answer.
No, I mean, you don't even have school records to be like, this is the definite day that we last saw
Right?
Kit and
Yeah,
Clarence.
and you got the November 28th welfare check where there was an officer saying that they had seen them and made contact and they claimed that they were safe, but I mean, so he starts going back through, kind of what happened before the case ever reached his desk. Yeah. He's reviewing other police contacts, he's speaking with his family and trying to establish some kind of timeline.
Yeah.
And what had spent months being treated as a runaway situation is kind of now finally being worked as an actual missing person investigation. And one of the things that he kept going back to was the welfare check.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember the report said an officer made contact with Kit at the door and Kit said they were fine.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're trying to establish Kit's last confirmed sighting, that sixth sense report becomes incredibly important because if the person at the door really was Kit, then police themselves have potentially seen Kit after Amethyst received those final messages.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The problem is that the report doesn't explain how the officer verified the person's identity.
That's very true.
So, when he's later asked about that, he said he didn't know how the identification had been made. There's obviously no body camera footage available to go back to and watch. So the welfare check, it can't really do quite as much work as the original report made it seem like it could. And the report says Kit's there, but years later, there's nothing that they can really point to
nothing
say,
concrete. Yeah.
Here is how we know the person that
they
at the door was Kit.
They showed their school ID and it matched, None of that would happen that we're aware of.
Right. And of course, Charlotte is questioning this because from her perspective, she's asked police to physically check on her sibling. And for a long time, she'd had a report telling her that was exactly what happened. So once it kind of becomes clear that there wasn't the documentation showing how Kit's identity had actually been confirmed, even that becomes less solid than it looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that somebody impersonated Kit. There's no evidence establishing that. And I don't want to create a mystery where the evidence doesn't give us one. You know what I mean? The person at the door may very well have been Kit. The problem for investigators was proving that after the fact. And I mean, that's everything that they're doing in this entire thing is trying to prove it after the fact. Like if she really left Lori's home in April, where did they go?
Yeah,
did anybody see them leave? How were they traveling? Did somebody pick them up? Did they have money? Did they have a phone? You know what I mean? Did they communicate with anyone after leaving?
Yeah.
If they were going back to Yakima, who were they going there to see? Yeah. Why didn't anybody know? So they're plus the problem of time, because they're not asking these questions a week after Kit's disappeared. They're asking them more than a year later.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking problem.
It's a huge
problem. There's a lot of fucking people calling and being like, yo. And I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, somebody went there and made contact with somebody who said they were Kit. So, I mean.
That's a hard one. It's a hard one.
Right? So, eventually they're like, no. This is no longer simply, a kid that's run away.
Oh, heck no.
And they finally start looking at Kit's disappearance as suspicious. And once they begin treating it as suspicious, it stops being something Omak police are trying to do on their own. And the Colville Tribal Police were involved. The FBI gets involved. Yeah. Washington State Patrol. And eventually the Washington Attorney General's Office and the MMIP Cold Case Unit become involved as well.
Wow.
Now, the last one I'm going to explain a little because this is exactly the kind of case that unit was created to help with.
Mm-hmm.
Washington established a missing and murdered Indigenous women and people cold case investigation unit specifically to work unresolved cases involving Indigenous people and to assist local and tribal law enforcement.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and Kit's case was eventually referred to that unit, which meant Omak police now had access to investigators and resources that a department with one detective simply wasn't going to have by itself.
Right. Oh, so kind of widened up the pool to be able to.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it did produce activity. There were interviews. They went back through records. They continued asking for information from anyone who had communicated with Kit or believes they had seen them. Different agencies were sharing information.
Good.
And, you know, and they're trying to narrow down something that should have been much easier to establish in the beginning, which is when was Kit actually last verifiably there?
Correct.
Because that question is still not settled.
No.
You know, and I won't go over them again. We know November, April, you know, so one comes from a police report, one comes from friends and family, one comes from Lori, and one becomes part of the official missing person record. That's a pretty big problem when you're trying to reconstruct the movements of a missing kid.
That's going to be hard.
Okay.
You don't have a set timeline to like start from.
Right. Now, in 2024, the investigation moved somewhere we hadn't publicly seen it go before. And Washington State Patrol's Forensic Laboratory Services Bureau executed a search warrant at a residence in the Omak area as part of the investigation into Kit's disappearance.
Really?
Omak police later confirmed that the search happened and that it was connected to Kit's case. And that's about as far as law enforcement has been willing to take us publicly.
Oh. Okay, so that
yeah, they haven't said whose residence was searched. They have not publicly explained what investigators were looking for. And they haven't said what, if anything, was recovered.
They just said, hey, this was executed and we went.
They haven't said whether anything collected was sent for forensic testing or whether the search produced evidence pointing towards a particular person. So, you know, I can't fill in the blanks for them.
No. As much as we would love to, but no.
A search warrant,
for those answers.
It does tell us something, though, without requiring us to speculate. Investigators have gone before a judge and have established sufficient legal grounds to search a specific place for something they believed could be connected to the investigation.
Yeah.
That is considerably different from simply knocking on doors and asking questions.
Oh, that's hugely different. Yeah.
Now, of course, a search warrant's not an arrest warrant. It doesn't tell us somebody committed a crime. And I mean, no arrest has followed this search, at least none that has been publicly connected to Kit's disappearance.
Correct.
Kit wasn't found. So the investigation continues. You know what I mean? And I mean, eventually enough time goes by where the kid Amethyst drove to Omak looking for was growing older.
Yeah.
And all they could do was do the computer generated pictures.
Yeah. To try to give us an idea of how Kit would look today.
Yeah. Yeah. So by 2025, just fucking last year, Kit's disappearance has been under active investigation for about 2 years.
Wow. Active investigation.
Yes. And it is considered suspicious.
Well, yeah.
Kit would be 21 years old now.
Yeah. Yeah, they would be.
There are huge pieces of this timeline that nobody outside the investigation can fill in. We don't know whether the person at the door during the November 20th welfare check was actually Kit. We do not know where Kit was during December of 2021 or the first months of 2022. We don't know whether Kit really remained in Lori's home until April. We don't know whether they left voluntarily. And if they did, we don't know where they went.
Yeah.
And despite all the attention that has finally come to this case, there still isn't a publicly confirmed communication from Kit after November of 2021.
Wow.
So if somebody has seen Kit after November of 2021, investigators need to fucking know.
Yeah, they do.
If somebody communicated with them, gave them a ride, saw them somewhere in Omak or outside Omak, knew where they were staying, or, remember something that seemed completely insignificant at the time, that's the kind of information investigators are still asking for.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we end this kind of the same way we started it. Kit isn't the failures in this case.
Mm-mm.
They aren't the welfare check, the school absences, the runaway classification, or the jurisdictional problems. They're not an MMIP statistic either. They're Kit.
Yeah.
They're the kid who drew anime characters and loved dinosaurs.
Mm.
The kid who listened to Elvis and Queen and somehow Nicki Minaj and loved How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
So if anybody listening knows anything about this,
Please.
because this case is very much still open. Somebody may still have the piece of information that changes this. So if you or anyone you know knows anything about the disappearance of Kit Mora, please contact the Omak Police Department at 509-826-0383. You can also contact the Washington Attorney General's Office MMIP Cold Case Unit at 844-770-7900. Or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678.
Mm.
It doesn't even have to be the kind of thing that solves the entire case. Like if you knew Kit, communicated with them, saw them after November 2021, or know anything about where they may have gone, make the fucking call.
Please share.
Kit deserves to be found.
Absolutely. Kit, come home.
It's fucking crazy to think about. I keep coming back to how much of this is unknown. You know what I mean? Like not internet theory unknown.
Mm-mm. It's just unknown.
Not somebody has to know something because that sounds good at the end of a true crime episode. I mean, there are basic pieces of this 16-year-old kid's life that nobody's been able to publicly account for.
Yeah, from
like for one, we don't know when Kid actually fucking disappeared, which is a huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
So that's fucking crazy. I mean, between November and April, that's those dates leave us with months that nobody's been able to explain.
Yeah, that's 5 months.
And, maybe Kit was the person that answered the door in November. And maybe they really did remain in Omak into the spring. And maybe they left Lori's home voluntarily in April in search of a life that, because it does happen.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It does
babysitting.
happen.
Yeah.
People burn all their last bridges and they're like, no, I don't want anything to do with that fucking life.
I'm going to walk away.
Even my best friend is a reminder of the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, it's quite possible that they just up and left and do not want to be found.
Go recreate yourself.
But I don't think that's the case.
It doesn't sound, what you've shared about Kit. It does not sound like this is a light decision that they would have made. They seem like family was something for them. So just to walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where the MMIP part of this comes back for me. Because we talked at the beginning about why our show needs to take these cases seriously. And Kit's case gives you a pretty good example of why. This isn't just about whether one officer did something wrong or whether one school employee should have made another phone call. You've got family in Yakima, a teenager living in Omak, local police, a school district, child welfare, tribal law enforcement, state law enforcement, and eventually federal investigators.
Mm-hmm.
Different people had different pieces of Kit's life. And for months, nobody seems to have had the whole thing. And by the time somebody did start pulling those pieces together, Kit's been gone a very long time.
Yeah.
I also don't want to leave this episode with Lori quietly becoming the answer simply because there are things about her account that raise questions.
Mm.
She's not been charged with harming Kit. Law enforcement has not publicly named her as the person responsible for Kit's disappearance. We can question the April timeline. We can talk about Kit's messages from that summer. We can talk about the CPS history, the younger children, the move from Omak, and anything else we can actually support with the record.
Mm-hmm.
What we can't do is take all of that and turn it into proof of something that it doesn't prove, especially about Lori, as heinous a fucking individual as she is.
Right.
Because the answer to what happened to Kit is still very much, we don't fucking know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And it's frustrating as hell because Kit should have gotten a chance to become an adult somewhere other than the age progression image. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd be 21 years old now.
Yeah.
Figuring out whatever 21-year-old Kit wanted their life to look like. Maybe still art.
Mm.
Who knows?
Right.
But a kid is still missing, and their name is Kit Mora. So before we leave this case, I want to point listeners towards some people who are doing this work every single week. Because this is just one case for us.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a podcast called We Are Resilient, hosted by Indigenous women and dedicated specifically to missing and murdered Indigenous people. So if Kit's story made you realize how many of these cases you've never heard about, go listen to them. Don't let this be the one MMIP case you hear and then move on. And I also want to make something really clear about recommending another podcast because I've never looked at another true crime podcast as competition.
No, never, ever.
We're all telling these stories for the same reason. And if another show can put somebody's name in front of 10,000 people that we can't reach, I encourage them to do so.
Yeah.
And if we can introduce our listeners to a case another show hasn't covered, I want us to do that.
Yeah.
Nobody should give a shit whose microphone somebody heard a name through if hearing that name is what finally gets the right person to come forward.
Amen.
Because we all want the same thing, which is answers for these families and ultimately fucking justice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There are also actual MMIP resources where you can learn about people who are still missing and find ways to help. The Bureau of Indian Affairs has its missing and murdered unit. The FBI maintains MMIP resources. And Washington has resources specifically focused on missing and murdered Indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
So I will put all of those in the show notes so you don't have to remember a bunch of websites while you're listening. And I mean what I said at the beginning. We live here. These are our neighbors. Indigenous people shouldn't have to become one of the handful of nationally known cases before somebody decides their story is worth telling. So our show is going to keep making room for them, and I hope you guys make room for them too. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah.
We'll listen to you. No, you'll listen to us. You'll listen to us.
And you listen to me too. If you remember, I'll be in the woods lurking behind the trees, waiting to tell you the stories. Wait to tell you the creepy murder stories. Maybe I'll be up in the tree. Maybe I'll be behind it. Maybe I'll be around it. You don't know. Swinging from it like a cheeky little monkey. Dangling from my tail, trying to snatch your hat and such as you walk by. Maybe I'll throw a banana at you. Maybe I'll just eat the banana. I don't know. I'm undecided.
No.
And it's like that.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you'd take just a second to like, follow, subscribe, and share the show. It might seem like a small thing, but it honestly makes a huge difference. Every follow, every share, every rating, and every recommendation
helps more people discover Shadows in the Pines and allows us to keep bringing you the stories that deserve to be told. If you know someone who's as fascinated by true crime and the mysteries of the Pacific Northwest as you are, send this episode their way. Word of mouth is still one of the biggest reasons podcasts grow, and your support means more to us than you know. Thanks for listening, thanks for being here, and thanks for helping us keep Shadows in the Pines growing.